I'm Larry Menti. Welcome back to Jersey Matters. It's a story as old as New Jersey politics itself. Public officials double dipping. A couple have been caught again. By Steph Solis, who is a reporter from the Asbury Park Press and APP.com. Who is it this time?
Really, it's hundreds and hundreds of employees just in this one form of double dipping. Multiple job holders making six-figure salaries. I believe we found 540 in Monmouth and Ocean counties alone, making a combined total of $74 million last year.
And wow. And how much, so it was $74 million they made. How much was from the double dipping? Like how much was from the second, wherever they were double dipping into?
It's hard to say, especially because sometimes they'll have a second salary that really encompasses multiple jobs. Sometimes they just have multiple part-time jobs where it just, blends into one another. And some municipalities have shared services, which is entirely different. But the data we looked at did break down, each municipality, sometimes each employee having $25,000 to $50,000 per extra part-time jobs.
So, and you're when you talk about this is not legal, right? I mean, it's not.
No, this is legal. It's just a loophole. I mean, this is just maybe part of what the 2007 pension reforms left out. At least that's what some critics say. Yeah,
because then you end up getting a couple pensions, right? Many times.
Yeah. So what can happen is that instead of that, they boost their salaries, and so when they're ready to collect their pension, it's based on their total salary when they're ready to retire. But even though
they have one pension, but the pension's bigger.
Yes.
Yeah. So and the pension's inflated by
the
double
jobs.
Dipping, and the double dipping is set up because of one job they have affecting another job they have. And just give me an example so we can understand this. Yeah, I know you have hundreds of these, but give me an example.
So I think a good example of this is actually Mr. Boscombe in Neptune. I can't remember exactly how much he makes. It's about over 200,000, but he has 5 municipal jobs, I believe 4 out of Neptune Township and another part-time job in Seabright as a part-time CFO, one of 2. He actually is an interesting example because he was willing to break down his some of the specifics of his schedule with me, and it seems like he might actually be one of the few exceptions of people who tries to actually fulfill all of his duties for all of his jobs. But it's really hard to understand how someone can actually complete 5, 6, 7 jobs at a time and earn all of those paychecks.
I'd love to have you back to talk about this again, but I know you have another story you want to talk about. Yes. And we've heard about swatting. At least I've heard about swatting, and people in the news have heard about swatting for phone calls, and especially when people want to get, they'll call and say they see something at a house across the street, and they call it swatting because allegedly the SWAT team's going to show up, and there's nothing there, and many times I've reported on it because drug dealers have done it to each other, said there's domestic violence in the house, and it turns out to be a crack house that they shut down and get rid of competition. You have a whole new angle on this.
Well, the new angle that I'm seeing is that it's hitting Monmouth County. There's been a slew of these swatting incidents, 10 in the last month at least.
But it has nothing to do with drugs or crime. This
Nope.
This is the gaming industry?
Well, it's hard to say. The last arrest was in September, and it was a 21-year-old Connecticut man who was part of an international online gaming or swatting ring, and he got involved in it through the gaming community. So it's become a lot broader, but part of this has come out of the gaming community where people will retaliate against one another if they lose a game, if they're upset against a rival player in some sort of live stream video game. So, it's not everyone in the gaming community, of course, but it's a minority.
No, I know, but it's, I get it. I'm not trying to indict the gaming community, but it seems like it's something that's happening within the gaming community.
Oh, yes. It's been happening within the gaming community for years, and especially against certain critics. For those who are familiar with the Gamergate controversy, who might see some people making sexist remarks, critics of those people have been swatted themselves. They've had SWAT teams come to their homes in the middle of the day for no reason. Assemblyman Moriarty was swatted I believe, a couple of weekends ago, and only because he has this anti-swatting bill out was he really aware of the situation.
So what does the anti-swatting bill do? Does it make the penalty more severe?
Yeah, the one that was introduced by Moriarty actually suggests increasing the penalties to a second-degree crime. So it would be 5 to 10 years in prison, hefty fine. Right now, swatting can be, someone can be charged under creating a public false alarm, and that can range from 4th degree to 2nd degree, so they can get anywhere from 18 months in prison to 5 to 10 years in prison, but it really depends on the situation. That rarely happens. Jail time's really rare, I would say, for...
And that's a shame, too, because you scared the bejeebus out of people, but not only that, you tax the 911 system and you send a SWAT team out to one area where they could be used somewhere else. So
and you put those officers in danger, honestly, and anyone who could be in the way. You never know when an officer could get into an accident on the way to a scene, when a situation like that could devolve into some sort of officer-involved shooting that ends up being an accident. It's just, there's too much at risk with these types of pranks.
Thank you so much for coming in to talk about this. Steph Solis, who is a reporter for the Asbury Park Press and APP.com, and that's where you can read her stories and keep following. You're going to be following this swatting thing?
Yes.
Okay, and you can read her stories about swatting on there. When we come back, we all know about the Asbury Park music scene. Now it's going to be enshrined forever on film. We'll talk more about that when Jersey Matters continues.